So Bruno, first of all, congratulations on 730,
Thank you.
and then a verbal score of 42 in your first attempt. Very impressive.
Yeah. Actually, I was more concerned about my quant score than my verbal score. Uh, in fact, when I started off, I like almost every e-GMAT aspirant. I started off with the official guides,
Mhm.
and uh, I thought I was expecting quants to be not up to the mark, but I didn't expect my verbal to be too low either. But when I went through the official guide questions and I was getting stumped with my verbal as well, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, so, 2 weeks with these official guides, and I don't see significant improvement in my score. So I
Let's
need
talk a bit about that.
something
So, so,
else.
so you said you didn't expect your quant to be as good, but you expected your verbal to be pretty okay. Why is that? What I mean, do you have does your background have something to do with that?
Yeah, basically, uh, I've been to a convent school for 10 years of my life,
Mhm.
and even my junior college was kind of situated in Bandra, so English was like, the normal thing for us. I mean, every day we used to talk in English, and you know, I never really had much problems with at least with my written grammar.
Mhm.
So basically, because of that, and even at my work, uh, whenever people used to, refer to me to proofread their emails and make sure everything is in place, the content and everything makes perfect sense. So considering all of that, I thought that I should do fine on my verbal,
So you were a verbal
but
go-to guy at your office.
office, school, everything, my
Office, school,
whole
everywhere.
journey so far.
So
Yeah.
are you a better verbal go-to guy right now, now that you have a V42?
Way better than what it was before. I
Okay.
mean, there were little intricate details that I never paid attention to, and all of that has come to the spotlight after I started preparing for GMAT.
Okay. So let's kind of go from the very beginning. You mentioned and you mentioned this very specific date in the pre-interview questionnaire that we sent over. You said you started preparing for your GMAT on 22nd August 2016. I'm kind of reading from my
So,
notes here.
sorry, that was a typo. It's 2017, not
2000,
16.
22nd August 2017. Okay.
Yes,
Okay, so that's
yes.
not very long ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, for
Why
this
that's such a
GMAT,
big
I took a
date? I mean,
break
you
from work.
remember the date. I'm just curious.
No, that's because I took a break from my work to prepare for my GMAT.
Okay.
I took a short hiatus, and that's why I remember the date.
Okay. So you took the first mock, you scored a 540.
Yeah,
And was
kind
this
of a
first mock
sloppy attempt.
before you did the official guide that you mentioned, or was it after?
You can say a few days after I started off with the official guide, I just thought I'll give the mock directly.
Okay. And so do you remember the score split? I mean, I don't have that in my notes over here.
No, actually, I don't remember the split scores.
Okay. All right. So you scored a 540. Was it below expectations? I'm sure it was.
It was way below expectations, and basically, my main focus was to get into IIM Ahmedabad, the PGPX course.
Mhm.
So they have a minimum requirement of 550, and
Okay.
this was for 540. And I said, okay, I got a 540, but it may so happen that if I go with this, I might score even less on the test day because of, I don't know, last moment pressure or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I need to improve on this. So I had a goal to actually score above 650, to say the
Okay.
least. So seeing that performance, I thought, I mean, I need considerable improvement on this front.
Okay. Then what did you do?
Then very basic. I ran a quick Google search,
Hmm.
on the best coaching for GMAT. I got a lot of results, and undoubtedly on the top was e-GMAT.
Okay.
I even went through the reviews, and the maximum positive reviews were for e-GMAT. However, I went through the first few evaluation modules that you have
Mm-hmm.
the under the free license.
Mm-hmm.
I went through that, and I also went through the free content of another coaching classes. If you've heard of Byju's coaching
Yep.
classes in India, they have their tab-based delivery.
Yep. Yep.
So I went through that, and I found that I was more comfortable with e-GMAT. And moreover, if I go for Byju's, I'll have to wait for another 4 to 5 days for the tab to arrive and everything.
Mm.
So, I mean, this was instant, and after reading so many reviews, I mean, I knew this was what I had to opt for. And
Okay.
considering that I have scheduled my GMAT in 1 month, going for the best would be the wisest choice.
Okay.
So that's how I started off with e-GMAT. Uh, I kind of crammed through the concept files for 2 weeks. I
Mm.
finished quants in 1 week. I finished verbal in 1 week, and the questions from scholaring were kind of more difficult than the ones in
If you cram
official
through the
guide.
concept files, you're going to find that. Yes.
Yes, very
That's
much
what's going to
difficult,
happen.
and
Yes.
and moreover, when you cram, your mind gets saturated. So
Yes.
after a point, it stops processing things. I'm like, okay, this is enough for today. But then after a bit of rest, after when I try the scholarium questions the next day, I could perform way better.
Yeah, I can see your Scholarinium scores. Your sentence correction ability was 92% percentile. So yes, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah. So and yeah, after all that cramming, I decided to go back to the official guides,
Mhm.
and I didn't stress myself much. I just did 40 from quants and 40 questions from verbal each day for 2 weeks, and that's it.
Okay.
Not much of a pressure. I mean, the core thing that I had to realize was that I needed to understand the logic behind the question, and once that logic is understood, once the pre-thinking is done, the pre-thinking is what e-GMAT has focused on so much. So, after all that, once you have got the logic correct, it's all about punching in the data and coming at the final answer. So
That is
after
true
that,
about a lot of things, but yes, that's essentially what it is. Whether you're talking about a
yeah,
sentence correction, whether you're talking about critical reasoning, meaning it
yeah,
sentence correction or inferring the intended meaning is like pre-thinking
yeah.
critical reasoning.
Mhm.
So
And even when it came to RC, when I was going through the Scholarium initially, uh, I used to try to summarize each paragraph in my head and then combine everything and try to answer the questions. But that didn't essentially work out that well. Later on, when I practiced with the official guys, I would just quickly summarize each paragraph on paper, 1 or 2 lines, and then I would combine all of them together and come up with the final conclusion. Byju's had a different strategy to it. You read 20% of the passage and then you start
that does
answering
not
the
work.
question. That does not work. That
That
really
does
does
not.
not work. That's actually a waste of time.
See,
A lot of
here
people,
is the thing with GMAT that you have to understand, right? GMAT is a
yeah,
professional exam,
yeah,
and what it really means is you people who are creating content. There are two
yeah,
things that I want to understand about the GMAT. One is it was created by business schools. So in
yeah.
1947, if I recall the year correctly, the
Hmm.
five Ivy League schools got together and they said we have to have a better criteria to evaluate people who start our programs. So they
Right,
created GMAC as an organization. Okay.
right.
And so with the sole goal, the intent was to make sure that people who do well on the test do well in the
Hmm.
preschool programs, and which is
Right,
the intent which is taken forward. Okay.
yeah.
And in doing well on B school programs means that they do well on case studies, they do well on reading reports, and essentially they do well in post MBA, post
Yeah,
MBA business world as well.
correct.
And in case studies and in post MBA business world, you don't really need 20% of a report that's sent to you. No,
Yeah, yeah,
you need
exactly. You need
100%
to
of
be
what's sent to you. You infer,
exactly.
get the logic, then, as you really said, you pre-think, then fill in the details, and then
Yeah,
you come to a conclusion or select the
exactly,
right approach, essentially. Uh,
exactly.
and that's how GMAT's organized. The other piece is GMAT's a professional organization right now, which
Yeah.
means that they really scrutinize each and every bit of question that they really do.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so and each and every line in an RC passage has a purpose, which is what you would
exactly.
really see. It's not fluff that's added over there. So you can't just read 20% of a passage. They focus on things such as author's emotion. So
Mhm.
if you miss the modifier and for example, focus, for one of the things that Byju's does is they say, hey, if you see a big first line, focus on the subject and verb. Don't worry about
Yeah,
the preceding or the succeeding modifiers or qualifiers. And no,
yeah,
sometimes has the emotion of the author.
exactly.
And so you can't do that because I mean on CAT maybe where people make questions 1 month a year and every year there's a different organization that's conducting the CAT, not on GMAT.
Yeah, yeah, not on GMAT.
Yeah.
So yeah, and basically, in fact, this whole method of writing down, summarizing each paragraph and writing it down, and then fusing all of it together, that actually in a way helped me with my AWA as well,
Yes.
in the reverse order. So the argument was presented. I brought down, I noted down strength, weakness, and then based on each, I made up a paragraph through an examples, real life examples, and ultimately I got a perfect 6 scorer essay on that.
I can imagine that. Yes. You are the go-to vocab or grammar and English guy in your office. Your writing must be pretty decent. Yes, I can imagine that.
Yeah,
So, so Bruno, tell me one thing. So you said on 22nd of August you took a break from work to study for GMAT, right?
yeah.
And so when did you give the exam?
9th of October.
9th of October. So did you resume work during this time?
Yeah, I've gotten back to work.
So when did you start work?
I started this Monday actually.
Okay, so you were studying full time for the exam, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, full
Okay,
time.
that's what I wanted to know. So when you were studying full time, how many hours would you put in every day?
I started off with around 6 to 7 hours, and then those 2 weeks of cramming involved 12 hours a day.
Okay.
And then again, the last 2 weeks were like 3 hours or 4 hours at the most. I just practiced 40 questions from each section,
Okay. Okay.
plus corrections on whatever I've gotten wrong. So that goes up to 3 to 4 hours a day.
So essentially, you kind of had two different phases of preparation. You had that 12-hour cramming piece. You had then the 6 to 7 hours scholaranium piece where you gave yourself more headroom, and then in
Yeah,
the end, you had the 4 hour study session or 4 hours per day where you even gave yourself more headroom to really absorb the information, essentially
exactly.
analyze and assess, and really say these are the mistakes that I'm not going to make.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was your studies? Did you kind of create a regimented thing to really say, I'm going to study from 6 to 8 in the morning? Or did you create time slots when you had to study?
Yeah, time slots and routine, something that I've always followed. So I would begin at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
This is my cramming phase. Begin at 7 a.m., work till 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then 1 hour break followed by another 3 hours, and then another 3 hours in the evening. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how it came up to a total of 12 hours.
Okay. Then what
And
happened when you got to 6 to 7 hours?
sorry?
So how did this change when you got to the second phase when you were studying for 6 to 7 hours? You were solving questions from Scholar NAM and other things.
Yeah, I would mainly try to cover up as much as I can during the morning hours, morning to afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
After lunch, I would just basically sit and work on my on whatever mistakes I've done, where I've got the logic wrong, where I've got the calculations wrong, and then evening, essentially, I would just relax,
Okay.
take a
Uh,
break.
you mentioned something over here which was very interesting to me. You said mistakes, right? You said you'd look at the mistakes and you got the logic wrong. How did you evaluate the questions that you got wrong?
Yeah, I would. Scholarium. It gives an explanation for each answer, right? So I would see. I would see, compare the option that I had selected. Okay, and
Mm.
this is the correct one. This is the logic that was followed for it, and and then I would compare it with my answer. Okay, so what I chose had this flaw. This is not relevant to the question that is being asked, or maybe okay, I misplaced one variable here and there,
Mm.
and basically on the basis of comparison with the actual correct answer.
You were
Uh,
very diligent. That is very good.
yeah, GMAT is all about understanding each and every option along with the question so that you can zero out on the correct answer. I mean,
Mm.
you have other options as well which may look like the correct one. It is essential to know the minute details that make them the wrong answer,
It
and
is.
then you can come up with the right one.
But I think here's something which is there. You're calling them minute details, but because of those things, an answer which may seem correct, is absolutely wrong because of that one modifier that comes in, or that one
Exactly,
that
exactly.
comes in.
That one small difference makes a big difference in the overall
In the
context.
logic of the overall answer choice that is there. Yes.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's really, it's not a minute difference. The difference is amplified. It's mentioned in that one word.
Apparently, yeah.
So I just want people who are going to hear this. It's not the difference is big. It's just that it's there because of that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So okay. So one of the problems that, we have a few other people. So we have a lot of other students who study full time as well. And one of the problems that I've heard from a few of them is, when you're studying full time, how do you keep yourself focused during studies? Because you say, okay, I have this entire day to study. Maybe I can stop at break. Maybe I can really go and browse on these sites a bit. How did you keep yourself focused to study? Because you had this huge amount of time to study during the day.
Yeah, actually, staying focused throughout the day was tedious. It was difficult. The essence is when at one point, you feel zoned out. I mean, nothing goes into your head, and you just can't focus. Even though you're presented with a simple question, it takes a while for you to process the logic behind it.
Mm-hmm.
At these times, just take a break,
Mm-hmm.
listen to some music or something that you like, or play a small game or something, and which will freshen up your mind for a bit, and then you can get back to your studies after.
What do you like? What did you do to when you took these breaks?
I used to listen to music, and sometimes I used to play a mission on to of some of my favorite games.
Okay. Okay, that is good. And you had all this already planned. Whenever you would, so was this something that was planned to say, if I get saturated, this is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get back?
Yeah, I mean this is something that I've been following since my school days.
Okay.
It worked well for me back then. It worked well for me this time as well.
All right, that's good. And I mean, that's a very good habit that you have. It's wonderful. So one last question that I have before we move on to your post GMAT into B school kind of area.
Uh,
Um, so do you have a girlfriend or a wife?
I'm not married, but I had a girlfriend. Not anymore. Yeah.
Did you have a girlfriend during your GMAT preparation duration?
No, no. I had one way before.
Okay. So essentially you had no distractions to during this time. I wanted to make sure, how did you manage that piece? But again, that wasn't a problem that you had to face.
And no, actually, even last year when I had one, I was preparing for CAT,
Hmm.
and when it came to studies, it was. I mean, that was one part where she was very cooperative. Okay, you want to study, you'll have your space. I'm not gonna trouble you till the time you're studying.
Okay. So you took the CAT as well. So now that you've said CAT, so let me just
Yeah,
ask this question: How was CAT compared to GMAT?
CAT,
Compared to CAT?
I wouldn't really comment a lot on it because last year I was working for another company, and while I was working there, I had ample of time to study. And after I got a new job, things became really hectic, and which is why I took a 1 month hiatus for GMAT this year because I wanted to get it right.
Mhm.
Uh, for most of my CAT, I couldn't really prepare well, and however, I managed to score 79 percentile, but I don't think it's any significant.
Nah.
Yeah,
Especially on an exam like CAT, where your CAT score is considered as a filter, which is not the case with GMAT, where the
exactly.
GMAT score is just a qualification. CAT is a filter. It's a very harsh filter, that is. So
Yeah, and besides, if you want to get into a good college, with your CAT score, you have to be among the top 1 percentile.
at least.
Yeah, to say the least. GMAT, it still has a much wider range as compared to CAT.
Oh, because GMAT's a lot more difficult to get to 99 percentile than on CAT.
Yeah,
We have people who apply to us to be instructors and they have like 99.5 percentile, and I really say that doesn't mean anything to me, because we've hired some people with that kind of percentiles and they haven't turned out to be logically as sound.
uh,
Okay.
okay.
And for the very simple reason, I mean, when you think about the CAT, it's not an
Mm.
adaptive test. You have
Yeah,
the quant and the verbal section, and the LR
yeah.
section essentially.
LRDI,
And
yeah.
how do you get scores? You get a certain set of questions, and essentially the more questions you answer correctly, the,
Yeah,
the the higher you score, right?
yeah,
The problem really is, again, I don't know how many questions there are, but let's say you have 60 questions in the quant section.
yeah.
A portion of them are easy, a portion of them are medium, a portion of them are difficult, but each one of them
Difficult.
has the same number of points. So
Yeah,
essentially, acing the CAT is about choosing the easiest questions to answer and answer them, because no one
yeah,
answers all the questions,
exactly.
right?
And
So,
even
so
the top scorers leave at least 10% or something.
yes. So what CAT really tests in it inadvertently is your ability to spot the easy question and answer that question very, very quickly.
Yeah,
Whereas
and CAT has that flexibility to revisit your question after you're done with all the other questions.
that is
If
one
you
piece,
have time.
but the other piece is because you can choose which questions you answer, because every
Yeah,
question has the same number of points.
yeah,
People who do well on CAT are people who answer the easy and medium questions first, and
yeah,
make sure that
exactly.
they get each one of those correct, and then answer
Yeah,
some of the difficult questions. People who do well on
exactly.
the GMAT are the ones who answer the difficult question well, because a difficult question on GMAT has 3 to 4 times as many points as a medium question or an easy question.
Exactly. Yeah.
So GMAT truly measures your ability. CAT measures your smartness in taking a mock test. And that's why when you look at a lot of CAT prep companies, they'll say we'll have these 30 mock tests or these 40 mock tests. Why? Because
Yeah,
to
they
aim
have
for
an
CAT, you
extensive
have to
list of
figure out which
mocks.
question is easy, which question is difficult, and leave the
Yeah,
difficult ones. And
yeah,
to ace the GMAT, you have to build your ability to answer difficult questions correctly.
yeah. Rajat, to be honest, you know, after the CAT results are out every year, these newspaper guys, newspaper reporters, they interview the toppers from CAT, and most of them have the same story. Okay, I did mocks for 1 month, I did mocks for
Yes.
2 months, exactly. And I tell you, Rajat, for this GMAT, I didn't do a single mock after the first one, and this is something you might not hear too often. I don't know, but
I've heard it from a few people like who are very similar to you. They do very focused study and they ace the test in 3 to 4 weeks.
yeah, what I felt was, see, under the pressure of mock, I might not perform to my truest capabilities. So instead, why not go through the official guide questions online, which has a timer. I can time myself. I can focus on improving my skills first and then my timing. So that worked pretty well. At the beginning, I used to take like around 90 minutes to complete all the 40 questions,
Mhm.
and then it went down to 1 hour, to say the
Wow.
least. So I mean, with practice, I got into that perfect flow to face the final GMAT.
see, the intent of a mock, and that's something which is very important, is to really make sure that your brain can work through that 4-hour regimented time period.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the good things that you did was you were very regimented in your studies.
Yeah.
You kind of had those portions of peak focus, and that times, those time slots that you would really say, I'm going to focus completely on this. I'm going to take a
Yeah.
short break, and I'm going to focus again. I'm going to take a short break again.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what a mock test does. Other than that, if you practice well, you already know the format of questions essentially.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we get these people. I mean, we get these students who do really well. I have this guy who is now doing his PhD in accounting from Cornell, I believe, who I interviewed sometime last year or before that. And this guy improved to 730. He also got 730 incidentally in 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And, and he did 3 mocks, right? But
Yeah.
not a whole lot. But he focused on doing very intensive studying, and very similar story to yours, essentially. So now let's talk about your post GMAT. So you have a 730, really good score in verbal, decent score in quant with a Q48. You want to go to ISB and IMA. And you want to improve on your leadership capabilities. So how are
Yes,
your
I do.
applications coming along?
Applications, well, my applications for IIM, Ahmedabad and Bangalore, they're still incomplete. I still have to submit them. But ISB, I've already put in my application in the first round. The
Okay.
deadline was on 15th October, so I finished it up before that. And in fact, I know an ISB alum from, he's my best friend's cousin. So I got some guidance from him on the application and essay part.
Okay, good.
So that part went well, and now just focusing on improvising on the IIM, A and B applications, mainly because ISB had 2 essays where you can put in stuff about yourself, and there's a separate platform to describe what you're capable of and what you can do and what you intend to do.
Mm-hmm.
IAM applications don't have that. So whatever it is that you want to convey, you have to convey within the fields of your professional achievements, experiences, and stuff. So I'm gonna take my time with that. I'll do it before the deadline, of course, but yeah, it's best to take it
I would
patiently.
just say, write to our support. Did you attend the resume webinar that we conducted the prior Sunday?
Uh, I had attended the one I think 2 weekends ago.
Okay, which was conducted by Maria, right?
Yeah, Maria, that one.
All right. So I think,
So in fact, that helped me with my essays and applications so far.
yeah. So definitely, I mean, go through that again. The key thing really is to really explain your current experiences with a vision of hey, where you want to go in the future,
Right,
and to the reader, it basically should convey or give enough belief.
right.
And also, I think if you've taken actions to really get there. I was talking to this one guy yesterday who scored a 740. He's from Vietnam, and
Mm-hmm.
and this guy is he was an, if I remember correctly, he's an oil and gas professional, and he wants to
Mm-hmm.
go into a product management in technology.
Okay.
And after his GMAT, he left his job, and he is and he still has a year before he joins the B school, right? So he left
Yeah.
his job, and he is now joining a technology company in a junior role, so that
Uh-huh.
he basically, when he gets into a certain business school, he has that experience in technology and some sort of a junior product management kind of role.
Uh-huh.
So he's already, he's indicating to admission officers that he's serious about the career path.
Yeah.
And B, when he gets an internship, and the reason why he's doing that is because he says, hey, I'm going for this 2-year MBA. After the first year, I'll do this 3-month internship. I want to make sure that I get the right internship, and they would want to really see my abilities in the technology field, because right now he works on an oil platform which has nothing to do with technology.
Right.
Right. So, so in the same way, in your case, I think if there's any relevant stuff over here, and that's really good that what he was doing. If you have something relevant which really says, hey, these are the areas where I have shown leadership, essentially.
Yeah, I have highlighted a lot of leadership level activities in my application so far. So
Okay, that is
basically,
great.
MBA is for shaping leaders. So if you can, showcase your skills as a leader, as someone with people skills who can manage people efficiently, and who can, convince the admission council that people would prefer working under you than under someone who follows a different methodology altogether.
I rather say people who are working with you.
Yeah, exactly. With me, for me, at one point it can become for me, and then still, when you get the gist.
Yes, I got the gist. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, well, that's good. That's good. It seems you have all of that set up. That's very good. So, good luck for your ISB result, and continue to remain as diligent, and don't forget what has worked for you with regards to the regimens that you put in. Uh,
Yes.
one of the worst things that happens is as we start to grow older, we really say, hey, we've got to do things differently now. And things that have worked for you in the past will continue to work for you going forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, so continue doing that, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much, Rajat.
Mhm.
And really, a lot of the credit goes to e-GMAT for simplifying the way I could approach the questions in GMAT.
That's what we do. That's why we exist.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for that. I will pass on the appreciation to my team members. It's a lot of it is their hard work. I'm
Yeah.
there on the face of it, but essentially that's just the probably the 5 to 7%. 95% is people who are building these courses, creating these animations, and really figuring out ways to do those
Yeah.
animations, and the people who are building the technology piece. I mean, in a couple of days, you're going to really see me share a teaser on LinkedIn of our new technology platform that we are building from scratch, and
Uh,
and we've
it's
been working
nice.
on this for the last. I think we started working June of 2016 on this.
Uh-huh.
So it has a lot of grounds up technologies that are built right from the grounds up to capture data from learning data from students.
Uh, I think some of the videos were changed during the past 1 month because when I went through some of the concept files during the trial phase, and then later on when I went through those files again, it was a bit different.
So we constantly keep on. So we have, if you think about it, we have 25 people
Okay.
in the company who work full time, and and in terms of the kind of live teaching that we do, the amount of live teaching that we do, it's only
Mhm.
80 hours a month.
Okay.
The remainder of the time goes in A, supporting students, and B, creating content. We have a 5-person e-learning team that all it does is creates content, enhances on content overall.
Right.
And so that's something that you'll see constantly happening.
That's great.
So
That's great. I mean, it's always a good idea to keep on improvising on what you already have. So,
yes.
keep.
So I mean, for example, on the quant side, we recently revamped the entire Scholarium platform. It had 700 questions. We actually touched each one of those questions. Now it has 1,200 questions. We just
Yeah.
launched our quant workshop in alpha and beta earlier this month. It actually would be formally launched. So we have about 130 people who've already taken the workshop. And it's
Right.
not formally announced on the website because we always launch products in alpha and beta first. And now it'll be launched on the 29th of October formally.
Okay. Okay.
And
That's nice.
similarly, this technology platform, we already did an alpha launch sometime in July, in early August, where
Mm-hmm.
we had about 800 people go through about 15,000 concepts on that platform during that time. Now we're going to do a beta launch sometime in about 8 days or so. Again, the
Oh,
goal is
that's
to
great.
repeat 15,000 concept attempts on it, and then sometime around early December is when we'll do the production launch of it.
That's good.
So yeah, I mean, all of this you'd really see constant enhancements, improvements. We're launching a brand new assumption module, which has 4x as many solved questions and iterate questions as the current assumptions module does.
Yeah.
It's completely written from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, those things will continue to happen. We spend close to 2,000 hours in R&D every month.
That's great, and the results are quite evident.
Want to even improve on them, and then this technology platform is something that I'm really excited about, because it takes us into that. I mean, you've seen the data driven approach in Scholaranium. It takes
Yeah,
that to a completely different generation.
exactly.
So yeah.
That's really
So
good.
stay tuned if you want to really see what we will be doing. So,
Yeah, I will.
all right.
That's good.
Good luck,
Okay.
and do keep me in mind as to where you take your admission and where you decide to join.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.